All right, today we're going to dig into this epic 2,000-year-old story from the Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi. Now, on the surface, it's about this mythical bird, but hidden inside this incredible story is a surprisingly practical lesson about what it really takes to achieve something great. So let's get into it. The flight of the Peng.
So right off the bat, Zhuangzi just hits us with the cosmic scale of this creature. I mean, the story says the spray from its takeoff covers 3,000 li. And just so you know, a li is an ancient Chinese unit of distance. It's about half a kilometer. So yeah, we're talking about a splash zone that's 1,500 kilometers wide from a single flop of its wings. Incredible.
And it's not just about flying a long way. No, this is a vertical ascent of just staggering proportions. The Peng doesn't just, fly. It rides a whirlwind, a cyclone, up to a height of 90,000 li. That's an altitude so ridiculously high, it's almost impossible for our brains to even wrap around.
Okay, so let's actually break down these numbers, because Zhuangzi is using them for a reason. He's trying to completely stretch our idea of what's even possible.
I mean, just think about that for a second. The splash from its takeoff, it's wider than the state of Texas. This isn't just about being big. It's about the sheer power it takes to even get airborne. It literally changes the landscape it leaves behind.
And this next number, it's just absolutely mind-bending. 45,000 kilometers. That is higher than the orbits of our GPS satellites. It's basically a journey into outer space. The Peng climbs so high that it leaves the entire world behind it.
And get this, a single takeoff gives it enough juice for a 6-month journey, non-stop. It's a true marathon of flight, all fueled by this almost incomprehensible reserve of energy.
Okay, so now that we're way up there with the Peng, this is where Zhuangzi does something brilliant. He pivots. He shifts from myth to philosophy, and he asks us to imagine, what does the world even look like from that incredible vantage point?
From 90,000 li up, everything we know, the mountains, the oceans, the cities, it all just dissolves. It becomes nothing more than a hazy blur, which Zhuangzi so poetically calls the collective breath of all living things blowing together.
And here it is. This is the philosophical heart of the whole thing. Zhuangzi uses this crazy perspective to make us question our most basic assumptions. We look up and we see a blue sky, but is it really blue? Or is that blueness just what infinite, endless distance actually looks like?
This is the punchline, right here. From the Peng's view looking down, the Earth is just this shimmering blue haze. For us, looking up, the sky is a blue haze. So Zhuangzi is suggesting that with enough height, with enough perspective, those fundamental differences we rely on, up versus down, they might not be so different after all. They might just be the same thing.
So you've got to be asking, okay, how on earth does a bird do this? And this is where Zhuangzi gets surprisingly practical. He moves away from the epic what and gets right into the how. And the answer, it's not magic. It's actually a fundamental principle of the universe. The secret is this principle he calls accumulation. Some modern analysis of the story explains it with the Korean word saming, which basically means stacking up or piling up. The whole idea is that the Peng's flight is only possible because of a massive accumulation of something absolutely essential. And Zhuangzi explains this really cosmic principle with a super simple, down-to-earth analogy. It's right here. Just like a huge ship needs really deep water to float, well, massive wings need a deep, thick column of wind to be able to fly. Simple as that. And this cup of water analogy just illustrates it perfectly. So you pour a cup of water into a little dent on the floor. A tiny piece of straw, like a little boat. It'll float, no problem. But then you try to put the cup itself, the large boat in this scenario, on that same water. It just gets stuck. Why? The problem isn't the cup, it's the foundation. The water is way too shallow to support something that big. So here's the crucial point. The Peng's incredible flight isn't really about its own strength or how big its wings are. The real secret is the 90,000 li of wind that it has to accumulate, to stack up beneath itself before it can even start its journey. It has to literally build its own support structure out of thin air. All right, so how does this ancient lesson apply to us, right? Because this isn't just a cool story about mythical birds and boats. It's a blueprint for our own ambition. What Zhuangzi gives us here is this powerful system of interdependence. Think about it. Having immense talent, let's call them your great wings,
is totally useless if you don't have the external support, the wind, to lift you up. You're just not going anywhere. But it works both ways. A powerful opportunity, a strong wind, is also useless if you don't have the internal strength, the wings, to handle it. You'll just get knocked right over.
So here are the key takeaways from the Peng. It teaches us that you can't launch a great ship in shallow waters. It teaches us that your own internal strength needs that external support to mean anything. And maybe most importantly, that last point there, we can't mistake just flapping our wings for actually flying. Real success requires building that foundation first.
And this final quote, man, it just beautifully summarizes the whole process. Peng's actual journey south, the achievement of its goal, it only begins after that massive, difficult ascent is already complete. It has to do all that foundational work of climbing first, of accumulating all that wind, before it can finally, truly soar toward its destination.
And so this incredible 2,000-year-old story leaves us with a really modern and very personal question. So I ask you, look at your own goals, your own great flight. What is the wind that you need to accumulate? What knowledge, what skills, what relationships or resources do you need to start piling up right now to build a foundation strong enough to carry your wings? Because that is the real secret to soaring.